Hi, my name is Anthony Pacheco, and this is my benchmark assignment organizational and personal HR development plan for the HRM 635 Acquiring, Developing, and Leveraging Human Capital. This presentation will focus on what I learned throughout the course and how it will be implemented in my organization. I work for a California police agency, and for confidentiality purposes, I will not mention the name of my organization that I'm currently employed with. The following presentation will consist of several developments created from the study and outcomes of the organization. It will focus on the acquiring of employees as well as the development and training and leveraging of human capital. Once the organization successfully employs those employees, they will represent the city and the police department. This presentation will focus on all the training and the employee strengths throughout the organization. The plans will be for those who play a significant part in the organization's human resources. Understanding how the influences of those involved in human resources will help the success of the organization. The presentation will also look into the recommendations I will make for my leadership to ensure our department is doing everything it can to continue to be innovative and be the most sought out organization out there. Finally, the presentation will also put it all together and develop plans to make the organization a more employee specific and create plans to make employees and the organizations flourish. Acquiring employees is one of the biggest struggles that police organizations face today. Some of the struggles that police organizations have is the negative influence from the outside outlets and trends. Opposing views on police officers outweigh those potentially interested and no longer wanting a career in law enforcement. Some ways of how we as an organization can fix this problem are to continue to find innovative ways to show policing is still a sought out career and is respected again. Starting with organizations that do some form of representation to all the police agencies worldwide. Also, by having currently employed officers stick with their careers and not choose to leave. The retention of officers will create longer terms of employment. The average working years of law enforcement officers is about 25 years. That long career is partially due to the respected organization and the want to stay employed. The police department that I work for has done some new innovative recruitment methods. The primary purpose of this recruitment is for job attraction. Currently, you can drive down some of our city streets and freeways, and you will see billboards informing community members of the local police agency and that they're currently hiring. What is it's the eye catching to get their attention, and is the what is eye catching is the attention that the monetary incentive, meaning like signing bonuses that are offered, that's posted on these billboards. One way in which organizations can improve in the area of recruitment is to be on all the social media outlets. Having an organization become more personable within social media, within the social media world, will reach many more individuals than will billboards on the roads. Also, the amount of cost will drop dramatically having social media. And having a social media team that focuses on critical events and posts them on social media will allow for more views. These views, in essence, will gain more attention for potential applicants, which is cheaper than putting up billboards for recruitment. Developing employees. The development of employees will be based on the organization and the employees coming together and collaborating in various ways. Creating and developing employees provides all the information needed to succeed from the very beginning. The development will help employees understand the culture and the visions of the organization's future. Development of employment will allow for the cooperation of various employees. Developing employees will ultimately create and promote teamwork. The current problem we see with development is the want to develop oneself. Employees get so comfortable in the positions they hold that sometimes their want to move forward and grow is different. There needs to be motivation from the employee to understand and to make the changes and learn new skills. The current systems do not keep the employees engaged and continue to grow and prosper within the organization. The organizational leaders need to continue to pursue and push the employees to success. Setting up goals in various forms, such as short-term and long-term goals, will allow the employee to develop in ways that can be measured. Having vital will employers that will work in the areas such as human resources is critical to the full involvement and development of the employees. Human resources will be the working force that brings motivation to the employees. Leaders and human resources should focus on moving forward by setting specific career goals for the employees. Focusing on where an employee wants to go into career is a huge part of planning their career path. Creating these goals, in essence, with the organization will also allow for more accessible options for promotion within the organization. Knowing that there is an option to promote within an organization is that they'll be willing to invest more qualified individuals. Training new employees. The training can be key to the success when it comes to new employees. The outcomes of a successful training could be seen in most organizations. It can also be seen as a failure. There is a great advantage to taking on new employees and training them to the organization's standards. The onboarding process provides new employees with essential background information and sets the foundation. The crucial aspect of a good onboarding program is what sets apart the organization that succeeds. The reputation that an organization receives from those individuals and who think highly of the acceptance rates will come from those with the experience it's firsthand. Formal training in my organization is called advanced officer training and should be constant and up to date. The laws and the ways we do policing constantly change, and there is a need to stay on top of it. Currently, we have 2 days of training a year, which is needed because there's so much material to cover, and the perishable skills that needed refreshing need to be revisited more frequently. Some of the negative aspects of this training is that there's high costs. There is currently 400 sworn officers in the department I work for with another 500 non-sworn. The amount of money that it takes to train all the individuals of the organizations is significant. Some of the future training exercises that can look up is by using neighboring agencies to help us train. The organizations can get together with other agencies and do mutual training exercises to help reduce the cost and bring it back down. Another option my organization should consider should be using grants for training. The opportunity to use grants, for example, from the Urban Areas Security Initiative, which is known as UASI, is a federally operated program that focuses on public safety. Programs like UASI focus on the importance of safety and helps those organizations that cannot afford specific training and also allows funding. Leveraging human capital. Organizations are responsible for overall success of the company. Police organizations is a paramilitary organization. There is a hierarchy from the administration being on top and all the subordinates following. There is a chain of command that needs to be followed, and essentially is up to the chief of police if any decisions are made that can affect the department. Here's the opportunity to have a leader who cares for the troops and the organization. Once a leader becomes too involved with their position and needs to remember where they started, the trust is broken. A solid mission and value statement will be the organization's motto and should be everyone's goal to follow it. The sustainability of employees will ultimately be the advantage of the overall performance. The organization I work for has seen a decrease in officers, and there are various reasons why officers are leaving. However, more recently, there has been a lack of support from within. The lack of support creates distrust, and it does not increase the employee's confidence to give it their all. The ability to change this is to have a better support system. The ability to show your officers that you care is essentially primarily because the type of work that consists for the officers. Police officers need a unique support system that offers a stress-free environment. Some implementations that can be done for these officers and the organizations are by bringing along police chaplains and peer support counselors. The organization can seek and employ these services that can be crucial to the survival of officers. The ability to focus on the officer's health will be the advantage in keeping the officers content and bringing more employees to the organization itself. On employee strengths, identifying employee strengths within the organizations can be measured in various ways. An employee strength will step down from the overall knowledge and skills they bring into the organization. The possibility to grow as an employee will be with the assistance of the employee performance conducted by leadership, staff, and will be measured precisely what type of work is being produced and the goals and accomplishments that the employees have completed. Good performance reviews will highlight the encourage employees to see their abilities and to use this to create an experience that is greater for themselves and the organization itself. One way we as an organization can improve is to create a better pool of diverse officers. A fundamental crisis in the United States police organizations remain the lack of demographic diversity reputation. The leverage that an organization will stem from the overall diversity of the organization it has to offer. Being a more diverse group will also reach other cultures in the city that may not already have representation in the department. For example, the city I work in is a majority Hispanic Vietnamese population. There are plenty of Spanish speakers within the organization. However, Vietnamese is less representative. Being in other backgrounds and having other employees familiar with other cultures and languages can help create a better working relationship. The ability to help those in need and understand different cultures will also benefit, as the employees will feel a sense of pride to help someone that would have had a little more challenging time being helped. The purposes, the proposed plans in developing integrating the positions, human resources is in a police organization has a crucial role, and it is different from a regular human resources department. HR and police organizations oversees the application process and other components of getting hired. The HR department must oversee complete background investigations, oral interviews, medical and psychological testing. There's much involvement when an applicant tries to get hired within the police department. Once an employee is hired, the need for the HR department at a police agency is brought down dramatically. An HR department that puts on seminars for promotions or career advancements could be essential and valuable in a police department. HR departments can make use of one of the employee's development plans. Even though it is the duty of the officer supervisor, the implementation and oversight should be handled by HR professionals. Having a member from HR that has the expertise and knowledge of an employee's development strategies will be crucial to the growth of the employees. Having someone assigned specifically to officers to be the go-to person will help the growth and development, and will also motivate more employees to learn on how to improve and become better. My recommendations for leadership. Leaders within the police organization is what makes and breaks the department. The overall performance of how officers conduct themselves stems from the decisions coming from the top. These leaders' decisions from hiring and to training and developing will ultimately affect everyone. For example, leaders have the final say and the authority overall training and exercise officers are allowed to take. However, some courses require costs, which may affect the decisions if they are even allowed to go to this training. Training costs money to attend, and if it's overnight, accommodations must be made. Nevertheless, some of the majority setbacks the agencies are affected by the attend training or the need to fulfill the spots of the officer that's not there. This is where leadership needs to allow for officers to trade or offer overtime compensations to those needing to cover the officer's shifts. Having adequately trained and developed officers will make them much more experts in their work product. The difference between other agencies and us is we be having the best trained officers in the field. Having adequately trained officers will also help the public's perception of police legitimacy. With that said, fully trained officers will be able to conduct themselves without the worry of violating people's rights and conducting themselves against what may be against the law. The department stakeholders are stakeholders such as community members, officers, and even the city political members. Those stakeholders involved in a police department have significantly impact on their decisions that will affect everyone involved. Therefore, leadership needs to be one that communicates effectively with everyone involved. Leadership has the experience of already knowing what it takes to be a newer officer, and those leaders need to remember what it was like and how support will affect the officers. Leadership will be able to leverage those in the field with their support and the ability to do their jobs effectively. Applying within the organization. Being able to apply everything that we've learned from this course will be helpful for the betterment of the organization. First, starting with recruitment, and based on how we already have been successful, there's always a better way of doing things. As mentioned earlier, social media will play a massive part in the recruitment. With that said, a better look into social media is that of easy access to information. One way in which recruitment can increase their ability will be to make easier to ask questions to get clarity. To get information from an applicant to a recruiter, first you must send an email and wait for a response. Creating a messaging system will allow you to go to a sort of messaging system that would go to a recruiter a lot faster and get a quicker response. A messaging system will allow for more effortless flow of applying for a department because of the information provided and the questions the applicants may have to be answered. A smooth and quick process will bring a bigger applicant pool to those who want a law enforcement career. Ultimately, if it's known that a particular process is easier to attain, it will impact the overflow of applicants. Like I said, a bigger applicant pool will allow for some agencies to make the decisions and more sound hiring applicants. Once a solid applicant pool and more robust employees It is then to continue and develop those employees. The time spent developing an officer to improve and grow is essential to productivity. It is an investment to develop and train those officers within the department. It does cost money to train and develop an organization that will have officers retain and stay within the department. Elements of my personal development plan. Now, as I move into leadership positions myself, my goal is to give back to those subordinates that I am in charge of. My goal is, in using what I've learned in this course, will be to be a better leader. Regarding employee evaluations, I must be fair and just. Taking on employee evaluations and using them as a teaching opportunity is essential. It is essential to put stuff on paper and create data to show employees their progress. Creating goals and showing progress is precisely how these evaluations will be essential for those leaders to create and manage, and the leadership to know how everyone is performing in the department. Concerning recruitment, the best recruiters are those within the represent of the organization. As a leader, being able to speak highly of your organization when the presence of others is essential to show and represent the department. An organization that is very well respected will gain the individuals of the department a more respect because they know that the department they work for is the best. Being able to work along my subordinates and finding new ways to get creative with compensation incentives will also be coming from those involved within the organization. Having the ability to reward those employees that work hard and deserve to be recognized is essential. The recognition will create more motivation to go above and beyond the call of duties of the officers. When the employees and those in charge are doing what is right, it will show others the organization is trying to do the best they can. Overall, finding the best ways to acquire, develop, and leveraging human capital will create more doors of opportunities for all. Following what we learn, we can make the organizations more marketable and sought out. This is my presentation. Thank you for listening.